and thank you all for coming. Tonight I'd like to share with you a memorable experience of mine, which is when I went to the emergency room at 9 years old. This story starts quite typically, as most do. It was a normal day, and Dad had just left for work, and Mom was attending a church meeting in town. I was left in the care of my older sister Katie, and we had quite a day planned. Living on a farm, it was not that hard to find something to always keep ourselves occupied with. And what we chose for the day was to go out to play in our big barn. In our barn, we always stack up quite a few square bales, so that way we can feed the cows throughout the winter. And once we have enough in the barn, we're able to reach a rope we have hanging from the roof and swing around on it. All we have to do to swing around on the rope is slide a 2x4 through a loop at the end, and you're good to go. So we took off for the barn and started playing. However, once it was my turn, the board slid out and onto the hay bales. So we just started climbing down to go look for it. Now, I like to say I was a very focused child. However, my parents would classify it as being oblivious to everything going on around me. Anyway, I decided to investigate something on the hay floor while my sister looked for the board. And while I was busy with my investigation, she found it and started getting ready for us to resume our playing. However, since it was my turn, she thought she'd just toss it to me and let me climb back up with it. However, that's when things went horribly wrong. You see, right after she threw it, she realized that I had not been looking up, and even though she yelled for me to look out, all I did was be able to look up just in time for it to hit me, right in the middle of the forehead. I was pretty dazed at first, but I was a pretty sturdy kid, so I wasn't too concerned. I reached up to rub my numb forehead and get back to playing. However, once I brought my hand down, it was covered in blood, and I was terrified. I started screaming and took off running for the house. My sister was hot on my heels, and we both crashed into the house, and I started crying all over the place. She immediately started working to calm me down long enough for her to call our parents. Mom wouldn't pick up, which only made me more upset, but she finally got a hold of my dad, who immediately headed for home. While we were waiting for Dad to get there, she took great care of me, applying pressure to my forehead, not letting it bleed too much, and doing everything she could to comfort me. Once my dad reached home, he immediately just took one look and said, "Yep, time to go to the ER." I was not a fan of this. I was terrified of hospitals and adamant that I didn't need to go. My argument was that when Mom got home, she sided with me in saying we just needed to put a Band-Aid on it. However, once Mom got home, I was quite disappointed to realize that, no, she was siding with Dad. They immediately put me in the minivan and took me to town to go to the hospital. Even though I was pretty scared, the nurses were so great and understanding. They took amazing care of me and comforted me the whole time and told me how brave I was. I felt pretty cool by the end of the day. They even let me hold a mirror and watch as the doctor put a stitch in. I thought that was pretty neat. All this happened right in time for me to cosplay as Frankenstein for Halloween. 11 years later, everything healed just fine, and I have a barely visible scar. And the moral of the story is that if your sister yells for you to look up, you better look up because you have no idea what might be coming your way, and you might wind up in the ER if you're not careful. Thank you all for coming this evening, and I hope you have a wonderful night.